Well, we're joined now by Benjamin Shemola, who is a consultant systems engineer. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, yes, indeed, there can't be any electoral voting for now. We've not amended our laws for that purpose yet. But using ICT to reduce electoral fraud, I imagine there are several ways one can do that. How do you suggest, how do people go about this one now? Perhaps in terms of what? Monitoring the votes or keeping tabs and communicating amongst ourselves? Can that really help?
The first thing I would like to mention is to change our perspective about the use of technology in achieving any result.
Okay.
As beautiful as technology really look, is a tool. And there's always, if I want to, for example, use a jigger, there will always be a man holding the jigger as a simple tool to use to achieve a very particular purpose. In the same vein, it's like most time when people hear about ICT as it relates to every sphere of our life, we just feel it's going to be a magical thing that will just overturn things and will make something beautiful. I would like to change that perspective by allowing us to see the fact that we have a good tool in place, but the people using the tool will also determine the output at the end of the day. Fine, you mentioned two things rightly, that could they be deployed at the point of monitoring the electoral process, or perhaps using it as a form of communication with the electorate so that you can monitor at our own end, which we call the crowdsource monitoring. It's good, but I want to take it from the scratch. We've always discussed it back and forth, and the first thing is this. As an electorate, I walk down a particular polling station to do a registration. And I remember at that point, my data was captured, and I also have my biometric, my fingerprint captured. But it's something that I still find very difficult to understand why I will now have to go back to verify my data looking at papers. Because that is where we should start looking at it from.
At what point is that? All your thumbprinting?
No, after the thumbprinting, you know, you have
There's
to do
a
verification before the real poll. Now, when you go back for the verification, you just go to a particular wall to be sniffing out your names.
Oh, when your
that
names
takes
are
place
pasted.
2 weeks after.
2 weeks, definitely.
Yes.
Now, but I feel if we want to start using this tool properly, why don't I just walk down to the same place where I register, and I just do, without even remembering my name, I just do a thumbprint, and my biodata should come up. Because if we, sometimes I find it funny and difficult to believe that all of those things are not just drama. Because, of course, we know we still have a problem in terms of infrastructure that will allow for e-voting all around. But I feel the simple way we can start using this tool is first, how can I be sure that that data that was captured will not be bundled up at the background? I just need to just go to a place, you know, because I feel one of the most authentic way of verifying anything is to take your genetic content, which either the fingerprint, the eye, or whichever. And if at this point we've not gotten to that point where we can do verification by just you just go to that same place.
Is that electronic verification you're talking about?
I'm talking about electronic verification. Let's start with that first, so that we'll be able to do away with what's it called, Tyson coming to Ekiti to vote, and then Muhammad Ali going somewhere to vote in Nigeria. You understand? Because if I want to be sure that the data that was captured at the point of registration is actually captured correctly and stored correctly, I must be able to verify that data also using the same medium. That's for me. Then the other way to it is this. Of course, we know there is a legislature that must be moved by the House of Assembly to support the fact that we are going to do everything electronic. But I'm looking at our capacity. Currently, we're still struggling with voice communication, for example. Our data is almost zero, and currently I see NIMSI trying to come up with brilliant idea, the new, what's it called, the national ID card, until we have all of this in place, where Nigeria as a sovereign state can confidently say we have so and so number of this age group in this location, so and so number of male, female eligible voters in this location. Using this tool, we won't have how will I call it, the magical power of the tool working for us in Nigeria.
You know, what comes to mind is what Mr. Shweta said. He accused governments over time of deliberately not doing what they should do because they would benefit from all of this. And listening to you saying that well, we can as well do all of that to the extent that it will help us in verification, accreditation, and proper voting, and we still haven't actually done all of that. You just saw what some international guests did say in the country. Can we really do all of that to the extent that even people can cast their ballot without staying by the way they have told everyone to guard that little box there, to the extent that some have actually lost their lives in protecting that box? Can we cast our ballot, you go home and you have a safe process to the extent that nothing will happen to that vote?
It's possible, but we're not ripe enough for it. It's like channels, for example. Before you got to this point, you must have tried out certain solutions before your eyewitness section started coming up and you see the response and all of that. You must have tried, before even your mobile connection started working, you must have tried out a number of things. The problem I have is this. I don't see a government trying to take the neck to be the first to start it.
No, but that should have been a plus for anyone.
We see it as something that should be a plus, but I'm not a politician, and I don't get myself involved with rumors here and there. But from what is available in the tabloids, we could also say that if we go electronic, it's going to make it quite difficult for fraud, the massive fraud we have. We may still have a number of them, but not as massive as we have currently. And for every hills that Nigeria is experiencing, there's somebody benefiting from it. That's the way it is. Because I'm just, this is 2014. I think about 2010, 2011, we were here talking about it. I think 2010 or something. Yes. By now, I expect the HINEC of 2014 to have started trying out. You know, we're not talking of something that nations have not done. So many other nations have done it.
If there's something that INEC is going to try for the 20, I think they're going to experiment with it in this Osun and Ekiti polls. They want to be able to do the verification process electronically, which is something that they've not done before. Initially, I think that there was cold feet. INEC chairman did say then that he did not want to be sued for having violated the provisions of the Electoral Act. So right now, do you think that is a step? I mean, however careful it is, you think that's a step in finally incorporating electronic, well, some form of electronic measure into our voting process? Definitely,
that's a good step forward. But you need to also look at it this way. You are going to have that election in Osun and Ekiti very shortly, in a matter of how many months now, weeks?
That should be, well, yeah, this year.
This
Middle
year.
Of this year.
Now, you ought to have had pilots tests by now, such that if there are, because this is March, the first quarter of the year is almost gone, so that if there are problems you are encountering right now using the two states as pilot, you would have brought in some other plan B or plan C in place. Because really what I see is this. I keep asking myself, can I run my business the way Nigeria is being run? I'm not talking of maybe just, let me limit it to this whole electoral process. I wouldn't want to wait till 2014 before I start testing out some of these solutions. I don't even really need the actual verification for my pilot.